Hey guys, this is Keith from the Rough Rhodes podcast. Here with my partner Cody. Cody, what's up, bud?
Hey, what's up, guys?
So Cody's got a story about Rough Rhodes tonight that he's going to share with us. So go ahead, Cody.
All right. This is just like a kind of a story that I guess inherited throughout my life. And I was on the street. I'm just gonna kind of do a nutshell real quick. So I was on the street for 5 years, about 5 years, almost 5 years. And then I came back off the street, and I went to rehab, and I came out of rehab, and I did well with my life, and I wanted to progress. And then I had a cousin my whole life. It really wasn't my cousin. It was my mom's best friend's kid. But ever since I came out of her womb, day one, birth, he was holding me. I don't really want to say names. I'm going to try my best not to say any names, except for mom, you know?
Yep.
But he would hold me. And my grandma, Darla, she wanted to hold me like when I was like 1 day old or 2 days old, but he was always holding me, and like he wouldn't let me go. And I was a little baby, you know? And but I did grow a little bit bigger. But my grandma would give him, back in the day, $20 was a lot, especially like in 1989. $20 was a lot of money, you know. And my grandma wanted to give him $20 to let it, so he would let her hold me, you know. And we grew up our whole life together. He was one of my best friends, you know. I can safely say my best friend, you know. And I could always count on him. And for the most part, he was a good person. And he still is a good person. He just really upset, you know, like. But anyways, like, so that was kind of like where I met him, because he was my mom's friend's kid, and we grew up together ever since day one, and we always were there with each other if we needed it. But anyways, later in our life, his mom worked for the Granite School District in Salt Lake City, and she was like the person that paid all the bills and financial. She worked in the financial part of it, right? She was also like a little secretary for the financial part. Like, you can walk into the Granite School District home building and go up to the financial, and she was the secretary as well, right? And she found out that she could deposit money and take out money without anybody knowing for years, unless she gets audited, you know? And so, like, I remember, like, way back in the day, I was like a little kid, dude. I was like 17. And I remember I was over there at my cousin's house, and we were partying, we're drinking and smoking or whatever, right? And we're having a good time. And then at the end of the night, his mom came in, was telling them, not really me. She was kind of talking to them, but I was there, you know? And them is her two sons. So she has one, the one that shot me is the oldest one. And then he has a younger brother by a couple of years, right? And she was telling them, like, so I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And if I get caught, I'll do a month probation if I comply. And if not, then I can pay it back. I'm going to take this much money and I'm going to pay it back. And if I get caught, I'll do 3 years probation if I comply. If not, and 30 days of jail. She was like 30 days of jail and 3 years probation. You know, I remember her saying that. And that's exactly what she got. But what happened, how she got caught, was because she would give money to people, like the wrong people. And those people came back for more money. And she's like, I don't have the money. I'm paying it back now. I already took $350,000 from them, you know? And now I'm paying it back. So I don't have the money no more. And they got mad or whatever, or envious, and told on her. And told. So she got caught. But all that money that she had, like that 300,000, because she had 350, right? But I bet 50,000 of it she helped out and had a good time with, right? But the 300,000, it went into where they live at now in Mesquite, like 20 miles from me. They have like land, they have a trailer, they have like all this stuff on their land. They have 4 cars, but all of it's in the guy who shot me's name, because she knew if she got caught, they were going to be looking for that money. But she said that she blew it, you know, like however the fuck you want to say, gambling or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And so she put $300,000 into his name. Okay, remember that? That's a really key part of the story. And so she bought this house and she bought all these cars and blah blah blah. But she got caught, and she was in Salt Lake City, and she was on probation, right? So you can't leave Salt Lake City if she bought all that shit in Nevada. So what happened is she told the oldest son, the guy who shot me, because he's the oldest, to go up there. And he left Salt Lake City away from his wife and went to that house and tended it and did everything why she couldn't, you know? And then when she got off probation 3 years later, like he's been up there for 3 years by himself, you know? And she goes up there 3 years later, and then she like moves in and stuff, and then everybody moves in, his wife, his younger brother, his mom. And so they're all in here, you know, and they're living their life, you know. He doesn't have a job. He's only had one job in his life, and it was at Denny's or D's right there on Redwood Road.
Yep.
And he's a cook. But anyways, like all that stuff, like that house and those cars, they're all hers. Well, like let's say, like, not legally, they're not hers because she put them in his name, but she did the dirty work, you know? Mm-hmm. She is the one that made those happen. Those are hers, but not legally because she put it in his name, you know? And so what's happening is, like, I'm not going to go into that right now, but I'm going to go into another part of the story. And this is 2 weeks before I got shot. Like, what I just told you was like 10 years before I got shot or more, you know? And so she's been working for that place for a long time for the Granite School District. And she just stopped about, I don't know, not too long ago. Anyways, so 2 weeks before I got shot, I was going up there and we were drinking, and there's not a lot of stuff in Mesquite, and I work in St. George, and he calls me and says, hey, will you grab me some food down there, because there's not many options in Mesquite. I'm like, yeah, what do you want? He's like, Chick-fil-A. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming up now. And he's like, don't worry, I have the alcohol. We get up there, and like I give him the food or whatever, and we drink. And his mom walks through the door, and his mom is like, has all these baggages, like she's carrying all these bags, like, and she's like, oh, hi, Cody, hi, George. And he's like, fuck you, bitch. This is the way I am because of your ass, you dumb bitch. Get in your fucking room. She's like, George, you've had one too many, or she's like, you've had one too many, right? And he's like, yeah, fuck you. I'm the way I am because of you. And I'm like, George, what the
God?
You know? And he's like, to me. He goes like this because I'm like, George, what are you doing? He's like, You know what I mean? That's how he acts. Exactly how he acts, like, And I'm like, George, just calm down, you know? I'm like, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Blaming somebody else. But anyways, like, we're all talking, da da da. I'm like, blah blah, and she comes back out, and he jumps up. He jumps up out of his chair, and he's like, "No, it's because of you." And he pushes her down on the ground. Boom! And she like skips off the ground on her ass, like on her tailbone, dude. And she's not the tallest woman, but she's not the smallest woman either.
How old is she?
She's probably like fucking, how old would my mom be right now? She's probably like close to 60, 61.
Okay.
You know? And he pushes her down, dude. And she gets up and wipes her ass. Oh, I help her up. I'm like, I jump up and I'm like, George, get the fuck over there. Or whatever his name is. And I'm like, I help her up, and she's like, and she walks away like nothing happened. You know, like, and everything kind of settled down. I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, oh no. So he pushed her down like that, and he was like, "Get out of my house, you dumb," or "Get out of my fucking house." You know, he was like telling her to get out of his house. You know, and I was like, it's not even his house. It's in his name, you know? Mm-hmm. But anyways, I'm like, George, you better sit down right now before I fucking leave. I'm about to leave, I told him, you know? Or I'm about to beat your ass, you know? But I was like, we're just going to go to bed right now, and I'll see you in the morning. And I pushed him into his room. I was like, go to bed, you know? And in the morning, I got up and I left. And this was 2 weeks before I got shot, you know? And so he calls me like a couple weeks later, and he's like, hey, let's and it was like right around this time, like tax season, you know? Because I just barely got my taxes back. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, hey, what's up? And we went four-wheeling, actually. So like the weekend before that, we went four-wheeling too. So that was the night when we got back from four-wheeling, actually. So we went up four-wheeling up these canyons over here, and he was telling me, and I was like, we should come camp here, you know, and we get back, and then that all happened that night, you know. So after we came back from four-wheeling. Well, anyways, a couple weeks later, or maybe like maybe a week later, I can't really remember how long it was, and I don't really want to remember. I'm just trying to remember. So he was like, hey, you want to go out to that place that we wanted to go camp? We'll go camp out there. And I'm like, hell yeah. And so I went up there, and he's like, baby. He's like, maybe we shouldn't go because my wife's going to get mad, you know? And then we started drinking, and his wife was like, hey, you guys should go camping, you know? And we're like, oh, yeah. And she's like, George, just go camping. I don't care. And we're like, what? Then we're going to go. The next day we woke up, we got everything ready, and we went out to that place where we went four-wheeling, you know? But on the way out there, like, so we're like getting gas, and this lady pulled up, and she was like a gypsy or something, but she was older, maybe like 65, you know? And she was asking me for some gas money, you know? And I was like, yeah, here's $10. You can have it. But she was also telling me a story. Like, oh, I got to do this and this and this happened, and I'm from Iowa, and fucking I was coming through here, and now I'm stuck here, and I don't have any gas. And I'm like, here's $10, you know, here you go. But then she kept on going with the story, and George was like, hey, how about $40 for a blowjob? And she was like, going on at the store, and she was like, oh. When he said that, and I was like, you know, I was like laughing, like, I can't believe we just said that, dude. You know, because of like, she was going on with her story, and then she was like, what'd you just say? You know, like, and I was like, you know, like, it was kind of funny at the time. And I'm like, George, and he's like, and he like goes like this to me, like, dude, you just fucking ruined my blowjob. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you were serious about that, huh? Like, Jesus Christ, you know? And when we were going up, and we got started setting up camp, he was kind of like bossy towards me, you know, like do this and do that. And I was like, how about you do you and I'll do me, and then we'll meet whenever the fuck you're done doing you. You know, I don't, or whenever I'm doing me, I'll come over to you. You know, like you just don't need to boss me around. You know, and he was like, ugh. But anyways, we shot his gun or whatever that was he had. We shot it, and I asked him, I was like, so if like zombie apocalypse came and like your family, like your mom got shot or your brother or me, and like we might have or we got bit by a fucking zombie, and we kind of had a chance to live, what would you do? And he's like, no, just blow your brains out. No, not too big deal to me, you know, it's not really that big of a deal, he said. And I'm like, all right. And that was like kind of my first like red flag, like, hell no, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? I might try to save them or whatever, and if they got out of control or whatever, I might kill them, but not right off the bat, like when there was a chance, you know, like, oh, he just got bit, you know, like, I wouldn't do that. But like, that's like a big red flag, because like that means they don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? But like, I didn't even say nothing right there, and I'm like, whatever, and we kept going, and we got everything set up like perfect, and we sit down and we have a fire. We start a fire, and it's kind of still daylight outside. And I look down, and there's like these arrowhead chips. Like somebody was making arrowheads, like chipping them with the rock, like it's called chafing or something like that. And I'm like, oh, look at this, blah blah. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, so what happened that other night? I was like, why did you push your mom down and tell her to get out of your house? You know what I mean? And then she got up and acted like it happened every day that you push her down. You know, like it wasn't no big deal. She just needed to get through that bump. And he was like, if I wanted to bring my wife, or if I wanted to get bitched at, I would have brought my wife, he told me. And I'm like, you know what? I looked at him right in his eyes. I was like, you know what? You're a fucking punk, and I'm done with you. Like, I don't want nothing to do with you. You're blackmailing your mom. You're no good. You like drugs, and I'm done. Like, I'm done with you. You know what I mean? Like, and I got up and I started taking everything down, and he took the water. He took like the liquid cooler and the food cooler, threw it in the back of the truck, and then took off. And I'm in the middle of the desert, bro. The middle, like right before the Grand Canyon starts, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm walking back, and like these people pull over, like, what are you doing out here in the desert walking? I was like, actually, me and my cousin just got in a fight. Can you give me a ride back to town? I just need to go to the main road right there in town. They're like, yeah, get in. He's in an old Toyota, and now I'm in a Razor, you know? And so, like, we're fucking flying. What? And he's like, and so we pass him, you know? I'm like, fuck you, you know, you fucking asshole. And he's like, no, fuck you, you know? And, like, I get down there, and, like, these two other Razors come up on the side of the Razor we're on. I'm like, ah! And they're like, hey, your cousin wants to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, he wants to talk now, huh? And they're like, oh, you might as well talk to him. I'm like, all right, I jump out, and they all leave. You know, and I'm in the middle of the desert for fucking like 2 hours, dude, just walking in the dark, dude. And then this old Toyota comes up behind me doing like 60, dude, like doesn't see me or what. But like I pick up a rock, and it's like a one-way road, like a one Toyota could pass, maybe two if they were like this on the side of the road, like, you know? And so I'm walking in the middle, and he's going like 60, and I pick up a rock and I throw it up in the air, and I step out of the way, and he hits that rock so hard. And if I didn't step out of the way, that would have been me he hit. You know?
Yep.
And like, and then he passes me, like he fucked his truck up by doing that too. But he passes me and fucking whatever, and then I get into town. And I'm like, I get to the door, and I'm like, go up, boom, 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 because I left my keys and I left my wallet there because I stayed the night before, you know, and I didn't want to lose all that shit. I knew I was gonna drink stuff up there, so I left my keys in my wallet. And at the time, I was driving a van, but so I walk up there and I pound on the door, and his wife's right at the door, and she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I was like, "Shut up, you dumb bitch! You're fucking blackmailing him too." You know what I mean? I was like, "I'm done with both of you. Give me my wallet and my keys." And she wouldn't give me my wallet and my keys. And I'm like, "You're a dumb ass bitch." And then I see George's head come up and then I see that dude or the oldest one's head come up like right behind her and then run. And then he comes back and I see a gun pop over her like right here, right over her shoulder, like right here, like boom. And I like turned around. I turned around and he shot, dude, the gun like 4 times, like bow, 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 like this close away from his wife's ear. And he got charges for that too, for fucking spousal endangerment, bunch of shit. But and then like I turned around and like I felt my ass, man. Like I got shot in the back, right? And my ass was stinging. And I got shot right here in my arm, right here. This fucking right here, this scar. I got shot right here, and it went through right here. But then it went into my spine after that one. But I would have been paralyzed if I didn't put up my arm, because I got shot in my shoulder. I got shot in my shoulder, and then I put up my arm, and then I got shot in my spine, but it went through my forearm first, and then hit my spine, and then I got shot in my other forearm. My other shoulder. So I got shot in both my scapulas and my T9 vertebrae. But and then I looked behind me and I seen him run away like this, like one of those flowers, like ah! Like that. Dropped the gun on the ground and everything. And then I was looking around and I was like walking out and I needed my vape. You know, because I vape, and I turned around and I seen my vape was all broke on the ground. And so I was like, fuck, I don't need that. And I walked out in the front, and some old lady was yelling at me, "Get down on the ground." I'm like, "What the fuck are you yelling at, old lady?" And then I turn over here, and there's SWAT team jumping over the fucking fence with AKs and fucking M4s and shit, you know? And they're like, "Get down on the ground." They went in there and fucking dragged him out by his hair pretty much. And fucking I was down on the ground and I got a life flight to the hospital. And crazy, but that's it in a nutshell. I don't really want to go too far in it.
So what did he get charged with?
He got charged for attempted murder, wifeful or spousal endangerment. I think that's it.
Damn. That's crazy, dude.
My doctor bill is $204,000.
What? How you paying that one off?
I had insurance and plus his house insurance. His homeowner's insurance is fucking paying it.
Damn. That's crazy.
But I had Medicaid, TAM Medicaid, dude, and they paid a lot of it too.
Wow, that's a good story, dude. So, did you ever think that you might not live?
No, I honestly didn't. I actually thought of that today for some reason. That exact question that you said today, right now. For some reason, I was thinking of this earlier today. For some reason, and when I got shot, I did right off the bat. Right when I got shot, I was like, "Am I okay?" You know, right away, dude. I was like, "Am I okay?" My ass stings. But when I was thinking of, "Am I okay?" I was thinking, "Am I gonna die?" You know. But I knew that I wasn't gonna die. But then I walked all the way out onto the front driveway, and when the cops were telling me to get down on the ground, I looked down and all I seen was a big, huge fucking puddle of blood around me. And right then, I thought I was gonna die. because it was so fucking big, dude. Like I looked down, like I wasn't looking down, but I was bleeding like bad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I looked down like this. I looked down and I had a pool. I had a pool, like a 5 foot, 6 foot pool of blood around me.
No shit.
And then that's all I remember. And then I remember looking, I was in the helicopter on my stomach, and the helicopter's like had like a fucking glass bottom on it, you know? And I remember looking all the way down at the fucking like desert, you know, as I was flying. And then I remember waking up in the fucking hospital, and like these detectives were asking me all these questions and shit, and like it was crazy, dude. And they were asking me where the drugs were at. You know, I was like, no drugs. There was alcohol and shit. So like, they're like, where's the black? They were like looking for like black or crystal meth or something. I'm like, you guys are fucking nuts, man. You know, like. But it was probably because of my background, and it was a pretty crazy situation. You know.
Yep. Yep. That's a good story, man. Thanks for sharing that. But yeah. So, we used to all hang out at City Creek.
Me and you?
No, like me and all my friends. We hang out at City Creek.
I was. Yeah, you remember Eric?
Yeah.
Eric used to hang out at City Creek. How come I don't remember Eric in A House or
Because
C House?
he didn't. No, he was in A House. He didn't get there till closer to the end.
Oh.
But you should have seen him though. But he was there.
Maybe I just didn't recognize him or didn't give a shit. You know?
Probably didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the one watching the dog.
Yeah, he had your dog. Yeah.
Yeah, probably because I was picking up.
Him and his friend that was all scruffy, had the big like beard, but he was a skinny little dude, but he had like the big old beard and like the hair, and he would always hang out with Eric.
Was he short?
Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't
Skinny.
me. Oh, skinny.
It wasn't you.
Sure. Was it Skinny? Skinny had blonde hair.
No, he had brown hair, like brown, and he was like skinny. And he hung out with Eric, like he was like his right hand man there for a long time. And then Eric slept up there, up in the church. I mean, up in that park. Remember, up in that park, kind of up the avenues.
Yep.
Yeah.
City Creek Park, like a few blocks away from there.
Yeah, a few blocks up from City Creek, right there. That. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So at City Creek, they hated us there because we'd be on the sidewalk panhandling or flying a sign. And they hate it because their customers walk out and they see somebody holding a sign. And so they tried every trick in the book to try and get us to move. And I was just like, fuck you. I'm not moving. I told them this for months. I'm not fucking moving. So they decided every day, every hour, they would come get the hose and hose off the sidewalk and expect me to move. I never moved. I just sat there and they just sprayed it and got me wet. I wouldn't move. And so yeah. So I just sat there through it and just got wet. I'm like, I don't care. It's summertime. I don't care if it's if I'm wet. But yeah, and then one time this was on a Saturday, I remember. I got up and I left my backpack by the front door where people panhandle. And I went down to go talk to Assy real quick. And I came back and my backpack was gone. And I was like, oh shit. So I called security out and I said, what happened to my backpack? And like, oh, we grabbed it. We threw it in the dumpster. And then one of the cops came out. He was on duty there, and he's like, yeah, we took your backpack and we threw it in the dumpster. It's like just casually, saying it like that. And I said, well, can you go get it? He goes, well, you can leave it in the dumpster and you're not going to have any problems. Or if I have to go dig that out of the dumpster, I think we all know that there's bad stuff in that backpack and they'll have to end up charging you. So what do you want to do? I had to be like,
Oh,
yeah, I had to be like, fuck it.
That's
Yeah.
fucked up though.
Yeah, it's fucked up. They got me, but still,
I can't believe your backpack was fucking like what
I had syringes in there and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure you had a bunch of paraphernalia charges. I got a pee.
Yeah, go ahead. Guys, check us out on Twitter at @rough_Rhodes. @rough_Rhodes. Check us out on Twitter at @rough_Rhodes, or shoot us a text 801-215-9682. 801-215-9682. Send us a text. Or send us an email at roughroadspodcast@gmail.com. roughroadspodcast@gmail.com. Send your questions or comments. We'll be happy to answer them on air. But yeah, it got to the point down there at City Creek where me and Ashley were like, fuck this shit, because I was getting harassed every day. They're trying to do everything to make my life miserable. And Ashley's like, fuck this. Let's just go down to Fashion Place and make money down there. And I'm glad we did, because when we did, we started making a lot more money,
Yeah.
But yeah, she was just tired. She was tired of getting fucked with. I was tired of getting fucked with, so we just had to say fuck it, But
then her mom found you guys out there.
Wait, say that again.
That's where her mom found you guys, is out there. She heard something like you guys are out there, and
she's dating a guy. And she was dating a guy at the limp, and I crossed right in front of the car.
That's so funny. And then she's like, he crossed right in front of me.
Yeah, with a little gimp walking across the street.
Dude, you can't mistake that limp, dude. That was a bad limp, bro. I'm glad that you're done with it.
I had both hips. I had both hips
dude,
done.
You.
I had both done.
Huh?
I had both of them redone, didn't you?
No.
Both hips. The left hip was just completely fucked. There was you couldn't even tell where the hip socket would have been. It was so worn out on the X-ray. But the right one was also torn up because I was putting all my weight on the right leg, and so my right hip socket was kind of starting to deteriorate. And they said I'd have to get that done within a year or two. But I said, fuck it, let's do both of them this summer, 2 separate times. And so I get the first one done in May, the end of May, and then the next one is scheduled for July 2nd. Well, about June, towards the end of June, I'm getting in the back of a car when we get out of my drug court drug test, and I'm getting in there, and my foot gets caught in the door jamb, and I turn it, and my femur snaps. Like I could hear it, I could see it. It was
what?
Yeah, and my femur snaps. So I get rushed to the hospital, and then when I get there, my surgeon who did my hip, he was out of town. It's like a soccer tournament for his kids, so he couldn't be there. But the doctor that did it did an incredible job on the femur. I got a plate that runs from my knee all the way up to my lower back. A plate in there. But yeah, so after that, I was in a wheelchair for a month with the broken femur, And I got the hip done at the end of August, the right hip done. So I was fully recovered by about probably October, November. But it's nice though, being able to go on a walk or whatever. Like, geez,
Sorry.
You're good.
Kind of hot out here, and I fucking have allergies like a mole effer.
Oh yeah, that's right. But
well, I'm cold, but like it's fucking allergy season out here.
no shit. But anyway, that's all I got. You have anything else you want to share?
Well, like I just want to say about that story is like I'm fully recovered, except like I'm like 98. I have a little bit like I'm stressing my arm, but that's I have a plate like this, like that long, like in my arm, like 11-inch plate in my arm. But that's about it. But I'm fully recovered. Like I don't have pains or anything like that.
You want to know something? You want to know something fucked up? The last thing I'll say is, I woke up during the last hip surgery. I woke up in the middle of it, and you're strapped up in kind of like a straitjacket.
Yeah.
So because when you're under, they don't want you moving around and stuff.
Oh.
So I woke up in the middle of it and just started freaking out. Like I was claustrophobic. I started screaming. I vaguely remember this, and they stuck something in the IV, but they put me back down within a matter of seconds. I was back down.
Yeah, that was probably scary. You know, like you wake, what the fuck? You know, like, oh my god.
And after the first one, they gave me what do you call it? A spinal. What's a spinal tap? Is it?
Oh yeah.
Where it numbs your leg. It like numbs your legs.
Epidural?
Huh?
Epidural?
Yeah, epidural. That's it. An epidural. So yeah, and then I didn't want to do it with pain pills, so they had me on ketamine for about 4 or 5 days while I was in the hospital. Because
what is that? Is that crazy?
When it's taken in higher doses, you kind of trip on it. But the amount they were giving me, I just relaxed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. I was just, watching TV and was as chilled as you could be,
That's another thing is like I woke up like from when I got shot and I was on pain pills and I told them I was in recovery. Mm-hmm. That was the last time I was on pain pills.
Yeah, I won't take a Lortab or whatever, no matter how bad a pain I'm in.
Yeah, me either.
Because I was so deep into that heroin, like I love that more than anything.
Well, like I could take it and be fine. It's just like, but it's just getting me high. It's not helping the problem. So I'm like,
no, it doesn't help the problem. It doesn't help at all.
Yeah.
So
fucking make it down, make me fucking like doze out and not take that next step when I always want to take that next step. If I have that opportunity to take that next step, I will.
Yep.
And I was back. I was in the hospital for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in I'm back to work in 3 weeks. 3 weeks on light duty. On light duty.
I remember you sent me the picture. You could see clearly where the bullet holes were.
Oh yeah, dude. It wasn't no joke, but I was like, I couldn't just stop working and I couldn't just like and be sorrow about myself and just let me like whittle away. I couldn't do that. So I had to get up no matter what. And I had to do whatever it took, to pay my bills and make sure I was okay.
Yep.
Period.
You got to. You can't be pulled away from that, And
I learned my lesson. Be careful who you hang out. It doesn't matter how long. It doesn't matter anything. It just matters what they're going through, really. And like when people start throwing red flags like that, you need to back off them. It doesn't matter who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, indeed. All right, man. Well, again, that's all I got. You have anything else?
No.
All right, man. Well, it's been good talking with you. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey, yeah, rough road.
Rough roads, baby. Rough roads.
Yeah. Bye.